Nahanni, the Dempster Highway, and Tuktoyaktuk. Our motor trip north had two main objectives, Nahanni for Faye and Tuktoyaktuk for Cal. We left home on Monday, June 6, 2005. By Thursday, we were heading up the Liard Trail in BC to Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories on the Mackenzie River. We set up the tent, fighting off mosquitoes, spraying ourselves twice with muskol, and sat down for a well-earned scotch. We had a quick dinner of canned stew. Delicious, at least under these circumstances. On Saturday, we flew to Nahanni in a Cessna 206 float plane with pilot Christian from Quebec and two other passengers. We flew over a series of mountains. Each range had different shapes. Some rose up in sharp peaks, razor-edged. Some were flat-topped mesas, and higher ones had snow in patches or in streaks. On reaching the Nahanni River, we approached slowly and followed it. We could see Virginia Falls, and as we got closer, we began to realize the size and force of it. There was a rainbow over it, and I was in tears. We landed in the quiet water above the falls, which are nearly twice as high as Niagara. We followed a boardwalk to a bench at the rapids, where we ate some of our lunch and were amazed at the sight and sound of this incredible power. The very ground shuddered. Cal asked me to describe it, and I couldn't. So I said I would never forget the flavor of the banana I ate on the banks of the Nahanni River. You will have to go and see it for yourselves. On our way south, to rejoin the Alcan Highway, we encountered an obstacle, a 1-ton male buffalo lying in the middle of the road. As we approached very slowly, he got up and turned full circle to face us. It looked as if he were going to charge. When he realized we were no threat, he walked away to join his mate at the side of the road. Returning to Fort Nelson, we headed up the Dempster Highway at 8 a.m. The scenery was awesome. Mountains that were green, bald, rocky, shaly, gravelly, snowy, near and far. We were driving through, over, and around them. We drove past forest, or just shrubs and wildflowers, fireweed, grass of Parnassus, daisy-like, but all yellow, northern anemones, wild roses, and lots more I couldn't identify. There were treeless areas or sparse pines, then big open areas that could only be described as vast, with a background of more mountains. Then there were also small creeks and large rivers, and some with snow still melting 18 inches thick. After Eagle Plains, we crossed the Arctic Circle and then drove through an area with many ponds. We saw some wood ducks and a pair of sandhill cranes wearing red tams. We crossed from the Yukon back into the Northwest Territories, arriving in Inuvik very late on Sunday, June 19. We found a well-laid-out town basking in the midnight sun. Expecting to be cold, we bundled up for the flight to Tuktoyaktuk and nearly sweltered in the 2-engine plane. 9 of us were met by Rebecca, a young Inuit woman who drove us around and explained daily life. Very basic. We climbed a pingo, a hill formed by the pushing of the permafrost. She described how her father and others harpooned beluga whales, how they caught and smoked fish. Their dogs, with no work to do pulling sleds, were chained individually, watered daily, and fed every 4 or 5 days. Their feed was raw fish kept in a deep cavity in the permafrost. It was a thriving, working community. Cal plunged his foot into the Arctic Ocean and received a certificate to prove it. In the incredible vastness of the North, we accomplished both goals, the Nahanni for me and the Arctic, or Tuktoyaktuk, for Cal. We crossed the Arctic Circle and saw the midnight sun. In addition, we met another goal. We have seen Canada from coast to coast to coast.